Hello and welcome to this webinar. It's Saturday, March 29th, 5 p.m. This webinar is on how AI will reshape healthcare careers. We've been doing several webinars. We've been doing a lot of webinars on the application of AI in very specific fields. For instance, we had a webinar on AI in mechanical engineering. We had a webinar on AI, how to use AI to code, to generate code. We hope to do this in a series and how AI is employed in various fields so people can do courses or short-term, long-term courses, skill themselves and be ready to move up in their career path. So today we have taken healthcare as the niche area in which AI is being applied fairly extensively. We are scheduled to have three panelists. Dr. P.R. Sodani, he has been here with us before on another webinar. He's the president of IIHMR University. He's a pioneer in health management courses. Welcome, sir. Dr. Purav Gandhi. He's also an alumnus of IIHMR. He's a qualified physician and he's moved on to healthcare management. He's founder and CEO of Health Arc, which looks at data analytics and application of AI too in healthcare university in the field. And we are scheduled to have Dr. Sudeshna Ray. She has trouble connecting. She's the associate director at the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the Jaslok Hospital in Mumbai. We thought we'll start with Dr. Ray. Is she with us? Not yet. She's having some issues connecting. So we'll start uh, with Dr. Purav, I suppose, who can give us an overview of how AI is being applied in healthcare, from doctors to healthcare management and policy and whatnot. Go ahead, sir.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Kalyan, for inviting me. I'll start with a brief background of what I do and where I have seen AI applied in healthcare in the recent times. I run a management consulting firm called as Health Arc, where we work with hospitals, diagnostic companies, medical device companies, pharma companies, and doctors. And I have seen that there is no conversation now in any of these fields is complete without the talk of AI and how AI will impact healthcare, how it is impacting their day-to-day life, how it will impact them in next 3 to 5 years. Uh, I'll go back to a very simple example 10, 15 years ago when I was studying in medical college. PowerPoints had just come in. Before that, our professors used to teach us using an overhead projector. And suddenly PowerPoints had come in, and there was a resistance saying, we don't know if PowerPoint is really needed for medical education. And then someone explained that, look, today it might not be required, but tomorrow it's an essential skill set. There can be no field, no skill which will run without PowerPoint. 5, 10 years down the lane, it was the same for mobile phones and internet. And today, same is the case for AI, right? Everybody does not need to be a coder, but everybody needs to know the basics of AI in healthcare. It has changed the field significantly. Very simple. From starting when medical medicines are developed, there is a lot of paperwork required. Almost imagine that one or two people need to develop a dossier or a document for 12 months before a new medicine or a new test will go to the market. Using AI, now that time can be shrink to just 2 months. Uh, when a test is done, historically, doctor had to read the test results by looking at a slide under a microscope. Now the doctor does not need to look at every single corner in that slide. AI will help identify a small circle which the doctor specifically needs to look at. AI will also suggest that, hey, these are the 3 or 4 different possible diagnoses that can be there based on the pattern that I am seeing on a particular slide. When a doctor is typing prescription in his or her computer in an electronic medical record, AI will suggest that, hey, possibly these two or three drug interactions between the two medicines that you are going to prescribe could create a problem for the patient. Do you want to check for it again? Uh, AI will help in terms of finishing the paperwork that the doctor will have to do for billing, or that the paperwork that an insurance company will have to check for reimbursing an insurance. A very simple example, I recently had a cataract surgery. Now, when you apply for a medical insurance, you expect that you will get the money in a month. Around 12 in the afternoon, I submitted my paperwork using AI, some kind of a technology. They checked all the paperwork. By 4 p.m., the money was actually in my bank account. This could never have been done at a human speed, but a repetitive task with fairly standard pattern could be automated within no time, creating so much convenience. Right? So there are so many different aspects of our day-to-day healthcare, starting from how medicines are being discovered, how they are being manufactured, how tests are being done, how doctors will prescribe medication, how they'll counsel their patients. All this is in a stepwise manner being automated and becoming more accurate using AI. Now, of course, with that, one would say that will AI remove these healthcare practitioners? No, that's not the case. Instead, what is happening is AI is playing a role in terms of bringing care back to healthcare. So, your healthcare practitioner, whether it is a doctor or a nurse or your counselor, instead of having to spend valuable time on paperwork, is able to going to be able to free up that time to spend those extra 10 minutes with a patient, explaining them better about their condition, inquiring better about their condition. So, this is how uh, I see the field of healthcare getting transformed. Uh, Now, I'll end with just one quote, right? That the future is already here, but it's not evenly distributed. So, these are things which are happening in small pockets in some parts of our country and the world, but it's not everywhere. And we all together will have to work to bring that future in an evenly distributed format.
Excellent. Thanks, Dr. Purav Gandhi. I suppose you made up for Dr. Ray not being here. Yes, that was very interesting that AI is being used in the entire day of the doctor, from diagnostics, from suggesting medicines to therapy to, paperwork and so on. We're fascinated. We can perhaps you can talk more about the use of analytics, the use of AI in other aspects of healthcare too. I'll throw the floor to sort of Dr. Sodani. Sir, can you tell us what made you start the data analytics AI course at your institute? Is AI is being extensively used right now? Where is it being used? And what is your course address?
Okay, right. Thank you very much for this inviting in this interesting webinar, and which is really on a very emerging issue like the use of AI in healthcare and like that. As far as IHMR University is concerned, we are a postgraduate research university, and particularly since last 40 years of the existence of this institution, we are working in the health management research arena. Now, as far as our working with the health management research area and also working very closely with the government, private sector, not-for-profit sector, development partners, we feel that as an higher education institution, we should also upgrade our courses as for the industry requirement. And as we all know, after COVID-19, we are now tuned towards the adoption of technology for the healthcare services also. And due to the technology use, we can provide more accessible healthcare services at an affordable cost. Because of all these things, even the government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, government of India, they have also initiated a digital health mission. The whole purpose of the digital health mission is that in the future or the coming future of India, as far as the healthcare sector is concerned, that will be more towards the use of digital technology or use of technology, you can say. So the digitalization is one of the major, upcoming area where the health sector will provide the services. Doctors, managers, everyone that will be trained in this direction so that we can utilize more and more healthcare services at a optimal pricing or optimal costing. That was the purpose, and therefore we started the full-time program that is known as MBA Healthcare Analytics. That is one of the first program in India at any university where the student can go and learn more about the analytics and particularly in the healthcare sector. Apart from the MBA Healthcare Analytics, we have introduced the certificate courses which are available through online mode for the working professionals also, and we have the certificate course on digital health as well as a certificate course on generative AI. All these two certificate courses are also very popular among the industry professionals. So this is what we are doing, and I will share more information as per the requirement of the audience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We welcome Dr. Ray. So we were supposed to start the program with you. You were supposed to set the
I know.
ball rolling.
Can you hear
You
me?
can still set. You can yes, we can hear you. You can still set the ball rolling. How do you use AI in your day-to-day life?
Right. So, I mean, how do I use AI, or how do I use it in my obstetrics and gynecology practice? Okay.
That's exactly what I meant. Yes.
Right, right. So, I mean, there are two aspects of it. Why I asked you this question is there are two aspects of it. One is the clinical aspect, and one is my personal aspect of how do I utilize AI in making presentations and things like that. So let me understand about the clinical. Let me talk about the clinical aspect first. So the clinical aspect, I think now we have mm, kind of got so used to AI in our diagnostics that uh, we can't even think about having a report which is not AI based. Whether it is an ultrasound, whether it is an MRI, whether it is a simple mammogram, whether it is a CT scan, everything, the machine itself has AI powered tools. So it gives us not only, it just not gives us a report saying this is this available, it also gives us a prediction, it also gives us a little bit of a treatment guidelines. This is the way you have to go through. So a lot of our obstetrics maternity work is based on ultrasound, which is based out of AI driven tools, like which is the report is definitely AI driven. A lot of our gynecological work is based on dependent on MRI. The reports again of which are given in sort of AI backed up reports. So they don't. For example, I'm giving you in fetal monitoring when we do a baby monitoring in the ultrasound, there are certain things which we will see it in the first trimester, there are certain things which we will see in the second and the third trimester. So every 9 months of the pregnancy is divided into 3 trimesters. So in the first trimester we are trying, the more and more AI based tools are giving us a prediction of how this baby or this pregnancy will behave in the third trimester, so that we can take steps right from the beginning, even in the first trimester. For example, if she has a higher uh, prediction of having a high blood pressure or having a baby with growth restriction in the third trimester, that is not going to come up in the first trimester, but in the second trimester, late second trimester, or in the third trimester, we can actually start some um, medications right from the first trimester so that we can um, manage the third trimester well. Similarly, for gynecological endometriosis or for breast lesions, the MRI reports, the mammogram reports gives us a prediction, gives us a sort of a marking that this is the extent, which is again based on AI, which is again based on um, whatever the other people are seeing and whatever the other uh, the machine learning is telling you that this is of this depth and this will require this. Am I clear?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So this is in a nutshell, but I think, for me, the best utilization of AI is when I'm on the robot doing my surgeries, because it's not only giving me a sort of a tool to enhance my surgical skills, it is also giving me an opportunity as a feedback later on in my training. It's a part of the training that, when I go back and analyze, I can actually analyze my surgery, my skills, my movements, and uh, compared to the national average, the time that I took. So it's a very interesting thing that robotic surgery has come in, wherein the AI is used in a huge way. Not only this does it helps us to kind of give us a feedback, like a machine gives us a feedback that whether I'm holding the tissue at the right pressure, whether I'm holding the correct tissue or not, whether I am cutting the tissue entirely, uh, which I'm supposed to cut, whether I'm going into the right plane. So all these are sort of machine driven prompts that are given. For example, if I'm going wrong, there's a alert. If I'm going somewhere, if I'm not able to find an instrument which is there in the field, they will give me an alert. So these are things I think, and the best part of it is in my app, I'm able to compare my progress in my skills from where I was 5 years back, where I'm now, what am I in terms of the national average or maybe the international average.
Interesting. Is that something unique to Just Look Hospital, or is that fairly across the board? Pura, would
It's
you
fairly
know?
across.
Yeah.
It is fairly across whoever is using a robotic
Okay.
surgeries. Robotic surgery. Robotic surgery
Okay.
is not available everywhere, but robotic. For example, the uh, people think that in the outcome, in the patient outcome, it might not make a huge tangible difference. Okay, but the reduction in the complications in the hand of not so experts, like people who like us, who have been in this field for such a long time and doing all these kind of complex surgeries. Our When we started, our complication rates will be higher than somebody who is starting now because of these safety problems. I feel it's a big AI boon to the outcome, to the prediction, to the diagnosis, uh, to the practice, to the skill upliftment of a doctor. And of course, when I'm talking about using AI for my personal things, I in the recent few months, I've done my research. I've put it in my paper in a Word document. I put it in the some kind of an AI tool, and they give me a presentation which saves almost a good 2 to 3 hours time for me. So I don't mind doing that because the content is mine. I just don't have the. If it saves time for me to decorate the slides and to give me a good picture, which I would find from, you know, I save time, so uh, I don't mind doing it at
Y-
all.
you don't have to be bashful. People whose profession is writing, for instance, journalists, we use these tools. Cat got my tongue. Anyway, so so it's
So you
your
make
time is better used in other things. Sorry.
I shouldn't be guilty about it, right?
So yeah, I mean, your time could be used in better things. I mean, that's the advantage of AI, where routine things, let's human beings can move on to much more complex tasks that they can do, they can perform well, rather than in doing these routine tasks like generating reports. But that's across the board. But what you said was very interesting. That, for instance, in ultrasound, where you're able to enhance your diagnostic abilities. AI is enhancing it, and is able to predict something that could happen in the third trimester and the first trimester itself, which you were not able to do before. So there's a clear help that AI is giving. That's very interesting too. Is that as I asked her too, is that fairly common these days across hospitals, or is it just more sophisticated hospitals in
I think
cities?
more sophisticated hospitals. We have one of the best team here working on fetal medicine, like for the baby, unborn baby. So I think it depends on the hospital, it depends on the team also.
How big is your AI team or your tech team that is putting together all this?
Well, no, I'm not. The tech team is a different team altogether. I'm saying that we get instruments where we get um, ultrasound machines which are in which the AI is incorporated.
Inbuilt, right, right,
So we
Right.
the robo that we are using, the Da Vinci intuitive robo, it has the AI incorporated in it.
right,
So we don't use something else, some other
right,
technology.
right, right. Okay.
So these kind of sophisticated machines might not be available everywhere, and in
Hmm.
fact, in future there is, if there is an AI which helps us to do surgeries from remote, or to even reporting from remote, that can help public. And Doctor will be
Right.
agreeing with public health services, because I was coming across when we were talking about in one of the NGO, one of my friends work, and she was talking about how the for how many ultrasounds are absolutely necessary for a mother. I said at least two ultrasounds are absolutely necessary for a mother, and it's a struggle. We do in our private practice, we do about six ultrasounds for a pregnant woman throughout her journey, wherein uh, you know in the rural areas, women are struggling to get even one or two ultrasounds. So because the doctors aren't available, or maybe they don't have the expertise to pick up the right things. So the training will improve if there is a remote kind of facility where the experts can chip in and do the remote thing. Maybe in future AI will help us in doing that too.
But it's already happening now to some extent at Just Look.
Yeah, it's greatly happening.
Okay. Okay. Gaurav, would you like to add to this? What is the scene across India? What is happening?
See, I
How
think
much do doctors
I
know,
would
or do they need to be trained separately for this oncoming AI revolution in healthcare?
I would say doctors need to be sensitized to some extent, but generally, like what Dr. Ray said, one of the beauty around AI in healthcare is when it's successfully done, it is very ubiquitous in nature. So you don't take an ultrasound machine separately and some AI algorithm separately and merge both of them. It comes as a very seamless module in your ultrasound equipment as an add-in, where when you are doing a fetal scan, the AI calculation can be activated very seamlessly. You don't know where AI is applied, right? It just falls into your natural workflow. Similarly, when you use a Da Vinci robot for a surgery, you're not using a robot separately and AI separately. It all fuses very seamlessly into a single workflow. Uh, and that is the beauty of how these things have been innovated, where doctors don't need to take a separate training. Now, that being said, while selecting the technology, like Dr. Ray said, your department head would evaluate whether the AI is trustworthy or not, whether the AI will work or not. When can you rely on AI and when you not rely on AI and use your medical judgment? I think that sensitization is always helpful, but otherwise AI gets very seamlessly blended into your workflow. It brings in an additional cost layer, but that cost is not humongous because now it's fit well into a machine which is going to be sold across many hospitals in India.
And the benefits are there.
The benefits are absolutely there.
Okay.
In fact, it reduces your training requirement for the physician, improves your patient outcome, reduces your surgical time. So there are so many benefits that exist. I'll just give a very simple example of which I give in my class on AI in healthcare. Take example of Google Map, right? When you use Google Map, it has so many different AI technologies. There is voice to language based on which you select, go take me from destination A to B. Then there is a route mapping system which identifies what is the shortest route. Then there is a traffic, there is a algorithm which figures out the impact of traffic on the time it additional time it will take. There are all these calculations going on in the background with multiple different branches of AI involved, but at the end of it, for you, it just shows your route, like take right, take left, right? So the way AI is implemented now in many places in healthcare is it's so simple. You don't need to be an expert in AI. You need to know when to use it, when to not use it, and that is good enough.
Okay. Now, questions are already coming in on various aspects. I'll first deal with some of the questions on. We're looking at doctors and diagnostics now, so I'll deal with those questions now. Cesar, why? Perhaps we can flash that question. He's asking how reliable are AI algorithms in medical imaging for providing accurate findings? What factors contribute to their performance, and how can we ensure these algorithms are effective and trustworthy in clinical settings?
I think it is greatly trustworthy. I mean, as I said, that we have to rely on the physician to choose the right instrument, not like whoever comes and demonstrates a technology and you become like you buy that story and take it. So you have to use your intelligence, you have to use your clinical experience, and see instruments, see I mean, see different, use that AI technology in as a trial basis, and then you decide. But I think now we are so used to getting reports which are AI based that I don't think sonologists now or MRI specialists now are completely uh, I mean, they have got used to it. So
Right.
I
I will. I'll just add to this. So I work with a few companies who supply training data and test data for such medical imaging
yes,
algorithms. And now there is a full pathway and a structure on how to test these algorithms. There is a way to get an US FDA approval after proving clinical efficiency of these algorithms. So by the time they get to the radiologist or the relevant doctor in question, there's a lot of testing that has happened. The accuracy of that is well established. There is a label saying that it will have 80-90% accuracy. And hence, by the time it gets into usage, it's fairly trustworthy. Also, more than trustworthy, the limitations are also well documented and informed to the doctor to be able to use these imaging algorithms.
Excellent. Rohan
and it's
Sabalo. Yes, yes, go ahead.
sorry,
Go ahead,
and
Rohan.
sorry. Okay. No, and that's also not something which is like, our clinical decision for the patient is never based on one criteria. It's something which I see clinically, some symptoms which I get from the history, some things which is matching with the ultrasound, something if it is not matching, then we go back. So it is never a, a dependence on one particular tool or one particular AI algorithm. It is a lot of things put together for the safety of the patient. So
Yeah,
it,
just as in any other field, human in the loop, right? The human makes the decision. The AI can suggest. It's up to you to parse the output, but you make your own decision based on your own experience, knowledge, and intelligence, I suppose. Dr. Rohan Sabale, he's been asking lots of questions. Can the panel share which models, tools in the industry are best in class? Do hospitals opt for in-house tools or outsource these tools? And he's talking about AI analytics tools, automation tools.
I think Dr. Pura will be
Okay.
better to
I,
handle this.
yeah, I think there are many cases when hospitals go for outsourced tools, which are more standard in nature, tested at a larger scale. Uh, just I'll give you a couple of examples, right? Like if you want to build a diagnostic technology for breast cancer, for example, you have to test it on thousands of patients. So for every hospital to develop its own technology becomes very challenging, and that's where a lot of hospitals go for outsourced standard tools or technology. But this is for diagnostics where there is clinical accuracy involved. Then there are a lot of operational or administrative AI applications also, in terms of, let's say, streamlining your internal paperwork, streamlining your financial calculations. Multiple platforms are available for this, but this is where also hospitals have started developing in-house technology. Second, very recent trend I have also seen is large hospitals in India have started pioneering some landmark research work in the area of AI. Very recently, I was talking to the chief technology officer at AIG Hospital, and now they have developed a tool where the tool can record the doctor patient conversation and convert it into a medical record across multiple different languages, cutting out different noise and dialect related issues. So, hospitals have started developing this proprietary technology also in the field of AI now in India. Uh, there are many such examples across ophthalmology, oncology, whatnot. But in my opinion, it does not make sense for everyone to reinvent the wheel. So wherever we have done landmark work in India in one or two hospitals, it makes best sense for everyone else to adopt it. And that way, there are so many different problems to be solved. One should not be solving them again and again.
Okay. Thanks for that. Dr. Rohan has another follow up, which I don't understand. Perhaps Purav can. He's asking I recently dwelled on the idea of using blockchain as a single source of truth for patient journey, whatever that means.
I can address that. So blockchain, for everyone who is not deeply aware around the technology, uses a ledger-based system instead of the standard data storage and data transfer mechanism. So every single patient file becomes a single ledger which can move from one source to another. Uh, a ledger mechanism in blockchain is also very strong, where data cannot be tampered, will stay as a single source of a truth. So it's very valuable. One of the big challenges around blockchain is if everyone is not on blockchain. So, for example, if I go to one lab, three different hospitals, two different pharmacies, have one insurance platform. If all of them are not on blockchain, my ledger remains incomplete and challenging to fulfill. Uh, but at the same time, everyone is not adopting that technology because the other counterpart hasn't. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg issue where until that entire framework has been laid down, there is limited incentive for others to go and adopt blockchain. I believe at certain point, when health information exchange becomes a priority, and this needs to be done at a critical mass, perhaps Indian government through one of the digital health programs or Ayushman Bharat digital mission can look at a framework which everyone can adopt. Once that is done, perhaps it will be easier for others to build and get the solutions adopted.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay, moving on. Sarat Shanmukh has a broader philosophical question. He's asking, what is a primary driver for the use of AI enhanced techniques, better patient outcomes, or higher productivity from hospital resources?
Both.
Is it money or seva or
Both.
meva?
Money, I wouldn't bring money here. Uh, which, I wouldn't bring the question of, uh, the profit or money here. I would say it definitely improves the patient outcome. I mean, by percentage wise, we have not yet have robust data to tell me exactly what is the big difference, because these are very subjective. You know, like for the same surgery in US, if I do the surgery in the morning, the patient is going home in the evening. But for the same surgery in India, because the patients are different, and because there is a different culture that works, that they don't think about going home on the same day, even if you have done a surgery which is making them go on the same day. They would like to stay here and get a bit of confidence in the next 2 days and then go. So things are different, but if I can improve my patient's outcome in terms of pain, in terms of reduced blood loss and the need for blood products, if I can give them more precise outcomes in terms of more precise, clinically precise surgery. So if I have to, for example, see one hair, I can see that one hair and burn that one hair, not like a tuft of hair, which conventional things, conventional procedures will help me. So all these will definitely improve patient outcome, and in the long run, if you see over a period of, let's say, a year, you will see that the number of stays, patients stay in the hospital will improve. The number of people needed to take care will improve. The number of blood products that you need to use will improve. So everything will, it has a domino effect. If the patient outcome is better, the hospital will definitely uh, benefit in terms of resources. I'm not talking about financial resources.
Okay.
Technology will come with a price.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
I'll just
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
add to
Sure. Sure.
what
Go.
Dr. Ray said. I think, like Dr. Ray, there are many doctors, irrespective of how well their hospitals are doing, have to like work till 11 in the night, 1 in the night, because there are so many patients waiting for treatment. So the need for productivity is not always connected to financial. Sometimes there is a certain expectation where so many people are looking for good treatment, uh, who you cannot afford to disappoint in healthcare, right? It's not a consumer industry. So productivity, in some sense, is also very helpful from a humanitarian perspective here in healthcare, as opposed to just financial perspective.
Yeah,
Point. Point.
completely.
Point taken. Sir, questions for Dr. Swadani, sir. Nidhi Joshi, she's asking, AI is changing the pharmaceutical industry in many ways. Um, can FBA pharmaceutical management program prepare us for AI related careers in the pharmaceutical sector?
Right. Since Hyderabad University also offered the MBA pharmaceutical management, and I'm also happy to share that the university has a school of digital health, and the faculty of various schools they help each other and also taking the modules. Even in the pharmaceutical management MBA program, we have a full course on the digital health technology. So the digital health technology covers the digital technology in the pharma sector, and various industry professionals are also coming to the institute and directly connecting with the students and sharing their experience, and that how the technology and digitalization can help the pharmaceutical sector day by day. Yes, definitely. Pharma MBA programs covers the digital health programs.
Mhm.
And there
How
are
do
a lot of
you
startups. Yes, there are a lot of startups in the country nowadays. They are helping the pharma sector, and they have also used the technology very well. And we as a customer, everyone know that how the technology have enabled us to reach the pharmaceutical sector very well, to receive the medicines or other pharmaceutical services at our home because of the technology only. Yes, sir.
Hmm. We do have several questions on career questions, but we had another webinar separately on healthcare management. But if
Right.
you would like to add to that, you can certainly do so, sir. How does the AI program, data analytics program, what sort of careers can people look at?
Yeah, since last year only we added this offering in our cost listing. That is the MBA Healthcare Analytics as a full program, which is a 2-year full-time regular program at IHMR University. The students are very well encouraged to do this program because the sector is now very open. Already we know that the health sector is growing very fast in the country, and as far as technology is concerned, yes, the health sector is will be benefited by the technological advantage. So there are a lot of scope and opportunities for the young students to enter into the healthcare analytics, like the hospitals, startups, innovations, even pharmaceutical sectors, even the government sector like National Health Mission and other authorities. They all require the a young graduate with MBA degree in analytics. Since now more and more such managers and leaders will be required in the industry who can help the industry professionals in growing very fast by using the technology at hand. And our course is also very much rigorous in the sense that some part of the course is focused on health systems where the students undergo the health systems fundamentals. Then there are some courses which are focused on management sciences, and third focus which is on the analytics. So where the students can lot of opportunities to visit the hospitals, to visit the pharmaceutical sectors, as well as to visit the public health environment and utilizing the technology in the public health environment or the hospitals and like that. So and also as far as like placement is concerned, since that is also very much needed after doing the MBA program, and at our university we receive a lot of requests from the placement agencies that the student should be trained in this type of skills which are nowadays required by everyone in the industry.
We'll stay with you, sir. There's another question, Mansi Chajid. Um,
Uh-huh.
she has asked, how can we access digital health and Gen AI certificate courses? Are there certificate
Yes.
courses?
Yes, yes. Since, as I have already shared that, since we have established a separate school of digital health, where we have the full-time program as well as the online certificate program also as a part of our offering. Usually, the certificate program or the online certificate programs on digital health and generative AI, these are keeping in mind the industry professionals' requirement. Since the people cannot work, they are working somewhere and they cannot come to the institute for such courses. So the university have decided to offer through online mode. And yes, those who are interested in these courses, they can visit IHMR University and they can get be connected with the appropriate persons and they will help them in enrolling these courses.
Okay, we had a lot of questions on like broader public health questions on how much of AI should we implement as a nation in healthcare? Because it does come with a cost. What's the benefit? So, in terms of public health policy, where do you see AI playing a role in public health?
Yes, as far as public health is concerned, yes, the government of India have already decided, even in the national health policy, which is the latest policy, as well as the national digital health mission that has been already, launched by the Prime Minister of Government of India. And things are moving in that direction since the government has also recognized the importance of technology and digitalization. And due to that, even since the public healthcare delivery system in India is very used, large number of institutions are comes under the public healthcare delivery system from top institutions like tertiary care institutions like AIMS and also the medical college hospitals. And then at the district level, we have the district hospitals, sub-district hospitals, community health centers, and even below that we have the primary health centers. And if we have the technology in hand, we can connect these institutions very well. The top institutions can provide, the doctors at the top institutions or tertiary care institutions, they can advise or consult the people at the lower level institutions through the telemedicine. And that may be one of the area where we can explore more. The people in rural area might be, they will be requiring a lot of, time as well as the money to receive the care from the experts and people who know the subject very well. But through the technology, even they can also get this benefit at their own place. And government of India has already taken this on a priority basis. So what I feel that in the coming or next 10 years, that will be for digital health in the primary health care.
Okay, we've had several questions. Sarat Shanmugh and Sujal Lanje. They talk about this whole issue of data privacy,
Yes,
confidentiality, informed consent.
right.
Um, so AI needs a regular diet of data to stay healthy. It's a nice way of putting it. But he's asking, okay, I would imagine that data protection privacy regulations will be reviewed in the coming years.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
data privacy or yeah, madam, you can also highlight.
No, no.
But from my
On,
point of view, yes, data privacy is one of the important area where clients are concerned as well as I think the providers are also concerned. They do not want to share the data of their client to any other client or any other persons. Similarly, the client is also interested that whenever I get the services from a doctor, my data should not be shared with other any other person because these may involve the symptoms or whatever, why the disease is there or whatever it is. So everyone likes that there should be some confidentiality should be maintained, and I think people are working towards that. And there are good courses also that we teach the students also regarding regarding the data security and privacy of the data and all these things.
yeah. I mean, that is my want also. I would have asked Dr. Sodani also. So how would we, how would we protect our patients' privacy and confidentiality? Because that's very close to our hearts, especially as gynecologists or any physician as such. The when women or patients come to us, uh, they come to us with a lot of trust. They come to us with a lot
Right.
of vulnerability. They are exposed in terms of their vulnerability in giving a piece of information which is very very private to them. So
Correct.
the data protection is a very close to our hearts, to our physicians hearts also. That how do we have to get somewhere uh, where we do not breach the patient's privacy
Yes, yes.
beyond what the patients want. So
Do
that
we have
that's
regulations in place? Has the central government mandated, especially as Dr. Ray is saying, patient confidentiality is integral
Yes, yes.
to medicine, and it's much more important, I suppose, in AI.
And madam, in our when I teach the students in the health systems or healthcare delivery systems, as far as the health systems framework is concerned, service delivery is one of the cornerstone or the building block of the health system at all. And when we talk about service delivery, one of the aspect of the service delivery is the confidentiality. Like the client is very serious about the confidentiality, and we believe that the doctors or the health systems or even the providers who are providing the healthcare services, I think they should maintain the privacy and confidentiality. That is one of the thing the client requires from the provider side. Means they come to the doctors because they feel that there are a lot of trust in the doctor, and therefore they are coming to the doctor for their advice and consultation.
yeah.
I'll, I'll just add to this. So I think one of the biggest this data of confidentiality in some sense is while it is super important, there is no two doubt about it. It's also a balancing act, right? So there should be no compromises on data security and privacy. And yet, ideally, if as a nation We have to lead the innovation race. Availability of data will make a big difference in terms of whether we'll win this race or not. And to that effect, I think both the government as well as other research bodies have started doing excellent work on terms of putting out clear guidelines around what can be and cannot be shared. If that clear guideline is available, the apprehension will reduce in terms of sharing data, right? Because you will know that, okay, if all XYZ, like in US, they have 18 identifiers. If 18 identifiers are removed, then the data is safe to be shared. Very
Yes.
similarly, in India, but not only data identifiers removal, but ICMR has done some additional excellent things. So ICMR has now come up with a excellent data sharing guideline saying that if you are sharing data, what is the percentage of IP or royalty that you should get as a hospital or as a data source when you are working with someone else to innovate. Uh, so that, again, not just only data sharing from a privacy perspective, but also fair value perspective, it defines some things. Similarly, they have a guideline around usage of leftover samples. So let's say if there are leftover samples in pathology laboratory, which can help research, what can and cannot be used, how can it be used. So now they're coming up with very clear, well defined, nationally accepted guidelines. And as we do that, we'll kind of again as a country start doing better in the innovation race, because data will be freely available with safe guidelines where the data sharer will also be more comfortable sharing the data.
Okay, many more interesting questions coming up, but I had a question as a layman. Are these tools wired to another place, or are they isolated? Or is there a central place where all these tools are feeding data somewhere? Happens in machinery, for instance.
Excellent question. So I've worked with some AI ultrasound companies, other AI companies, uh, who generally, so there is, for example, a small ultrasound probe called as Butterfly. They work on a cloud, so that all the data goes to cloud, which could centrally be located in the United States or in some other country, and they will do the analysis and come back. So the data will go back to some centralized machinery. But this is where AI awareness comes in, right? For healthcare professionals. Now, doctors and hospitals are asking that question that, hey, is the data going out of country? Is the data going out of my four walls? Is it not possible for this algorithm to still work without the data going out of my four walls and solving it locally here? And as healthcare professionals in India are getting more proficient in answering these questions, companies are now forced to build solutions where this data is not going somewhere else. It's remaining safe, or if it goes out with consent in an informed way. It's not being collected without the user actually knowing it, like it happens in social media or many other platforms. So that
Right.
awareness and has started to come in, and in a very timely fashion.
Yeah, even for the EMR machineries that we use, there also that's a big threat for us. Like, I mean, big question we always have that am I, whatever I'm feeding in my EMR, is it is it being shared? So they do give us assurance that it's going to be yours and not shared.
Okay, I suppose ICMR will keep coming up with guidelines, and perhaps doctors, hospital managers may be advised to stay tuned. You were talking about identifiers, specific identifiers which can be removed, and then perhaps the other data can be shared. As someone asked, pointed out, AI does need data, to be more accurate. It's a constant data hungry machine. um, yeah, so there's another interesting question, Martin. I don't know. I have to apologize. I don't know how to say his last name. Martin says, will AI driven personalization of medicine and patient care change the way healthcare professionals interact with patients and develop treatment plans? Will it be a drawback for rural areas? where AI may not be applied extensively. So two parts. He's asking whether AI will broaden the divide between rural and urban, well off and less well off. That is a concern many other questioners had, and but he's asking very specifically, does it change the way healthcare professionals interact with patients and develop treatment plans?
Can I answer that?
Yes, sure.
Yes. Okay, so this depends on how the training is given. You know, as much as we think that the AI training should be from the very beginning of the technology training should be like, we feel that we doctors are very focused on our subject and are not given trainings for anything else like technology, like finance, things like that. But the basic training has to take like the bulk of our training. Basic training is patient interaction training and diagnosis from clinical symptoms, clinical signs, and not only the diagnostic based diagnosis. So, uh, I think a good training will ensure that the personalization remains and there should be no threat to that. This is a responsibility of the colleges, of the all the training institutions who are training young doctors. If the reliability or the dependability on AI is so much that it removes the personalized thing, then we are not successful in using the AI in the right way. So
Yeah,
it
like
will.
what Dr. Ray said. So, in the AI class I teach, we talk about six guidelines that the World Health Organization has put in place around responsible implementation of AI in healthcare. And they talk about all these things that AI, when implemented in healthcare, should be unbiased, should be accessible to everyone, should not deter care, should be available, should be transparent, should be reliable, should be replicable, not a black box. So once those responsible AI guidelines are followed, uh, it would not be a disadvantage for any particular segment of the society, whether it is rural or urban, any specific socio-economic background. If at all, it should deter those boundaries by providing uniform care, uniform decisions, uniform quality across all these segments. Like a human might have that bias, but AI would not carry that bias if implemented in the right spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, one of the best way of you know using AI is to remove the bias.
Okay. Um, Dr. Sorani, there's a very practical question. I suppose she's a student thinking of various careers. She's asking, what is the highest salary package have MBA students at IIHMR received? 20 lakhs,
Very
30 lakhs,
good.
1 crore?
Yeah,
What's
at
the highest?
ISMR University, the highest package is very attractive. It's around 35.6 lakhs. That is our record. So the students,
35
if they
lakhs.
wish, they can enter into the healthcare sector and get 35.6. And I think in the coming years, it will be again reach to the new heights.
Okay. Whoever said AI is going
Yeah,
to take
yes, it
away.
is because now it is because that earlier it was not so that the health sector is not very lucrative in terms of the placement and all that thing. But nowadays I feel that more and more people are attracted towards the health sector, and the government has given a lot of thrust on the health sector after the COVID-19, and we have seen that the budget by the government has tremendously improved in the healthcare sector. So a lot of opportunities are available even in the governmental institutions for the student. And apart from that, a lot of private corporate houses and other consulting companies are coming in a big way. So more and more like corporate hospitals who are coming in the sector, again they require the professionally trained managers, leaders, and also the analytical people. And therefore, I think that since the sector is growing and day by day we require more and more good quality healthcare services, and therefore more and more trained management staff is required by either it is a government sector or in the private sector. And one more thing that the latest national health policy of government of India that clearly prescribes that the government think that the management trained people are required in the healthcare sector. So that is one of the policy intention, and the government is working towards that to reach that intention or implementing that intention in a big way.
Yes, we actually covered that in a previous webinar. How
Yeah,
government, medical departments are typically headed by doctors.
correct.
They may soon be trained, qualified, certified healthcare professionals, managers. They could be
Hmm.
accountants. They could be anyone. So that point was made in the last webinar too. And the use of AI and data analytics is only showing how much more complex this is becoming. Healthcare management is becoming. It's not just doctors and treatment and so on. It's much, much more than that. And so that's definitely going to reflect on the salary packages, I suppose. 3 lakh a month is, I suppose, if for a starting salary is fantastic. So Shalini, you could try this out. Okay, we'll end with one question. Subhash Pradhan, he is asking, sorry, I joined in late. It's okay. We started late too. How secure is my data? Okay, so he's a patient. He's going to a doctor. Now the doctor is using all kinds of AI stuff. What can he reveal, and can he choose to not reveal, or what are his rights? How much information I will be providing, I should provide, and because that thought is there in his mind, I suppose.
As a
Yes.
so from a clinical aspect, I leave it to Dr. Purav to tell me the machine aspect. But from the clinical aspect, I think whatever is needed to reveal to the doctor in terms of the illness, all should be revealed. And the clinician's responsibility and the entire AI, whatever machinery they are using, it is the responsibility of us to protect that data. We had spoken about protection of data just a few minutes before, but that should not deter you from sharing exactly what is required for us to manage the problem.
I'll echo what Dr. Ray said. And also, sometimes you as a patient might or might not know what is relevant from a diagnosis or treatment standpoint. So please err on the side of sharing more rather than less with the doctor, and let him or
Yes.
her make that judgment call. No, uh, data privacy, data protection is the job of the doctor, the hospital, the government, and the society. But nothing could be more hurtful than a misdiagnosis or a mistreatment because you did not share certain information. So philosophically, always err on the side of sharing more. Uh, it'll it'll usually be taken care of through medical ethics, data laws, privacy laws. Don't hold back.
Yes. Don't hold back because it can be shared.
I, I don't think anyone should be put in a position to choose, right? I mean, their primary aim is to get better, to get healed.
And it's our primary responsibility, whatever machinery we are using as a healthcare provider, to protect
Okay.
to protect your health as well as to protect yours.
Okay. Okay. I have to take this question, Dr. Sorani. You've talked about how the government is keen on implementing healthcare management as a specialty in its public health system. So Sarat, who's been asking questions, he's asking, are they considering AI? Are they tuned to using AI in public health? Is the government
Right.
concerned?
Yes, I have already shared that the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, I think since last 2 years they have launched the National Digital Health Mission, And the whole objective towards launching the mission is that the public healthcare system that should adopt the digital technology very well, and that implementation of digital health mission, it is underway. So the various state governments, they are also working under the guidance of Government of India to implement the digital health mission in the respective states. Now the respective state governments, they are also taking interest in the how we can train our people or those who are already in service in the hospitals or even in the public healthcare institutions. So they are developing the capacity of the existing human resources as far as AI and digital health is concerned.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We had a wonderful discussion. Lots of very interesting questions. Thanks much to the panelists. Wonderful to have you here, sharing your insights. Some of the questions were indeed very insightful. I learned much. I learned a lot. The panelists themselves, and we will be evaluating these questions. We have offered free subscriptions to the Hindu online. That's a treasure trove of information. You can get archives. It's wonderful. So we will be getting in touch with those who ask questions, and we'll be choosing the best for online subscriptions. We'll be discussing with the panelists shortly and deciding. Thank you, everybody, and we expect you to join in next Saturday, 5 p.m. for another education webinar from the Hindu. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.